you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon. I want to thank the organizers for the invitation. I want to say that the topic we are discussing is something that is very timely. I've gleaned a lot from the presentation by the first two speakers, and they have touched very, very important points, and they've cited good examples that I can build on. So what is the solution to some of these toxic campaigns that we're already talking about? Today, for example, in Nigeria, in Abuja, the federal capital, a book was launched. The book was written by political reporters of the 90s, people who covered politics in the 90s. The book is about the aborted Third Republic and the June 12th debacle. That was the election that we held, that the presidential candidate was not announced as the winner. And so, it's good that they've written that kind of book and launched. And for people who are very experienced, have written that, and I happen to have been one of those political reporters back then. It means that there's history that we need to always look back to. So if I'm going to correct some of the things that we have now for politics, we need to look at history. We need to ensure that we learn from some of the mistakes of the past, and both politicians and journalists need to look back and see what worked in the past and what did not work, so that we can ensure that we are taking progress. Our democracy cannot continue to be developing over time. We can get strong. So it's important to learn from history, and both politicians and journalists to learn from history. Interestingly, while I was trying to prepare for this presentation, I found a quotation by one of the political presidential aspirants. And I won't mention his name, but if I read, you may glean. And he's more or less calling for the toxicization of our politics, that we should stop toxic in our politics. And he said, politics is meant to be a corrective mechanism. Can we mute somebody?
Can we mute your okay, go ahead.
Okay. So he said, even when we are upset by the problems of the current government, we must ensure that we insulate our politics from corrosive effect of the ruling party's failures. A society cannot progress if its politics is convoluted. And he went on to talk about, we might think that there's an easy road to victory in divisive politics, but we must ensure that we keep on track. So I think this speaks to what we are talking about. It's important that every major politician, especially the presidential candidate, the governorship candidate, and some other legislators, that they reinstate the importance of, so that their followers will get the message. We understand that some of these politicians are friends, but unfortunately, their followers are very divisive in the way they go about the campaign. So the campaign, they need to take charge of the campaign to ensure that the messages that are coming out are not divisive and are not toxic. They don't destroy our system, or they don't have us have an election that after the election we won't have a country. So it's important that they say the right thing. They don't encourage their supporters to say the wrong things and come and deny such things. So it's important. And this is why the media needs to ensure that they also take control of the narrative. It's not everything that politicians say or their followers say that we should amplify. Even when they're able to do so themselves on social media, people expect that the traditional media, the professional journalists, the trained journalists, give them the information they can trust. So it's important that that is important. We've talked about distorted information pollution. So we have a combination of misinformation, which the last speaker mentioned, where people are deliberately misinforming the people. There's disinformation, where people set out to just put in wrong information in the system. People get that. Then we have malinformation, information that is malicious. So it's important that we identify all these issues and know how to address them. As politicians, and as journalists, so that we ensure that by the time it's time for election, there will be an election. So what should the politicians do? I want to run through it. There's need for enlightenment on political guidelines for contestants and electorate. The two speakers have mentioned that. So there are guidelines. There are electoral regulations. There are things that must be done. There are things that should not be done. If they don't know it, they'll be doing the wrong thing, and their supporters will be amplifying the wrong thing. So, for example, I hear stories about politicians seeking foreign support, and people are saying there are limitations about how much support you can get. In fact, there are guidelines about how much you can spend as a presidential aspirant or whatever. But these are things that people don't know. And so some of the arguments are not informed. That is very important. Those who violate the rules should be penalized. So if there are rules about what should be done in terms of political campaign, people who violate it should be penalized. If they are not penalized, there will be no deterrent. It's important. And so even the media should point it out when people are going off the call. And that means they know these things themselves. Unfortunately, some journalists themselves don't know enough of the electoral law. Some of them amplify the wrong information in the system. So they need to read those things and understand them and not rely on past knowledge. The media should also not amplify toxic campaigns. Not everything that people are saying should be amplified. There are things we read, we see that this is not right, and we should stop it. Contestants should focus on issues and not personalities. They should tell us what they want to do, what they want to achieve. It's not about who is coming from this religion. About in that perspective. They should avoid ethnic and religious and divisive campaigns. That is very, very important. And the media should keep reminding them. We should write news analysis. We should let them know that we are holding them accountable. And they cannot do anything that will endanger the democracy that we have all battled for. What can we do about information pollution as I begin to round up? Like the first speaker mentioned and the second speaker mentioned, there are code of ethics for journalists. We should remember, and that is why we want to see that journalism is a profession. Anybody can generate information, but not everybody is a journalist. The demarcation. So when you say journalists are publishing this, it's not journalists. Sometimes it's just average person who has social media to share information. So people who share information, we need to be sure who's sharing this information, so that even the electorate can know who to believe and know that this is coming from the right path. There are also electoral codes that have been developed by some NGOs, like the International Press Center in Lagos. They developed a code of electoral coverage for journalists, which journalists should know. Then one other point that is very important, which I think is very important, is that journalists should be as impartial as they should be. What we see even now is that you see top journalists taking sides. Some of them are writing very divisive articles. Some of them come up online on social media and they talk about being supporting Atiku, Tinubu, or Obi. So they send wrong signals to readers who are confused about where these people stand. These are people that are supposed to be impartial. So rounding up, I want to say that it's important that we ensure that the rules are followed, and the leaders must set good examples. When they meet and promise that this election will be fair, it starts with them. It starts with what they are telling their supporters. It starts with when they can call their supporters to order. We have seen instances when some of the supporters are saying things that nobody has said, yet their principals are keeping quiet. So it's important that we ensure that we moderate this. At the end of the day, there will be an election, because if there is no peace, there will be no election. So again, those are my thoughts. Like I said, the media has a major role to play. Yes. We must show leadership. Those who are authorities about me, for example, when there's confusion in the system about information, the people who know should come forward and say, this is the right information. This is what should be. This one is not true. We should not be afraid of the cyberbullying that is happening now and not speak, because we see a trend where there's a lot of cyberbullying. And because of that, people who should speak are not speaking. But we stay on the side of history by ensuring that we provide it that is good to ensure that we. Thank you.